Hello and welcome to Rain's Kitchen and Garden. My name is Rain. Today I'm making a delicious apple and butternut squash bisque. It's so perfect for fall evenings. It's a very, very cozy comfort food. Let me show you how I make it. In my pot I have 2 tablespoons or 48 grams of unsalted butter, and I'm going to add 1 large onion that I chopped up. You could use oil if you don't want to use butter, that'll be fine. Olive oil works well for this too. My pot is on medium heat and I'm going to cook the onions for about 7 to 10 minutes until they're really tender. I let my onions cook for about 9 minutes and they're looking pretty tender. They started to brown a little bit, which is nice. They smell amazing. Now I'm going to add 3 small apples that I peeled and chopped. And I'm going to add my butternut squash. I have a nice butternut squash here. It's about 3.5 pounds. That's 1.5 kilograms. And I'm going to show you how I chop it. I basically chop off the top and the bottom first. It's not all that easy because, you know, sometimes you see recipe videos and people have it already. I'm struggling talking at the same time. People have it already cut up, you know. I mean, we all know how to chop up an onion, but not everybody knows how to chop up a squash. So, and I'm going to put the discarded bits in another bowl because I'm going to feed my compost pile. Now, butternut squash has a straight edge and then it kind of comes out a bit. So right where it sort of comes out, that's where I chop it in half. Okay. And just like a pumpkin, it's got seeds in the middle. Now, in order to peel it, I'm showing you how I do it. I cut the longer piece in half, just because it's easier. And then I take my knife and I go and I peel it like this. It may take a while, but it's worth doing. I don't have a vegetable peeler that can handle this thick skin of the squash, so this is the way I do it. So I'm just going to go around and make sure I got all of that rind off. There's a little bit here. Into the compost. And now I can cube it. Don't worry about the sizes. You can do big cubes or small cubes. Just try to make sure they're pretty uniform so that it'll all cook properly. Looks like little pieces of cheese. Don't mistake that for cheese though. All right, let's see if I can get this done, because I want to show you how I do the round piece. It's a little tough to chop and it's also sticky. So here's the round piece. I do the same thing. I go with my knife and I try to get off as much of the rind as possible. And with the round piece, I'm going to have to go over it a second time because there are going to be spots that I'll miss because it's not flat. And I'm trying to cut close so I don't lose too much of the squash. Okay, because there are little bits and pieces all around, so I'm actually going to take a smaller knife here and just go over and get the little bits of rind off. Very carefully. Don't want to cut myself. I hope I'm not holding that too high. All right, that looks pretty good. So now I'm going to cut that in half. You see? Just like a pumpkin. And you want to take a spoon and sort of gut it, for lack of a better term, gut it. And it's not only hard to chop and it's sticky, but this can be a little slippy. Oops. I discard the seeds. I have read that some people actually bake them as though they were pumpkin seeds. I don't like pumpkin seeds anyway, so I just discard them and they go into the compost pile, and the birds eat them actually. So that's how I do it, and then I'm going to chop all the rest up. I'm going to let that cook for 3 minutes. Now I'm going to add 1/4 cup of white wine, that's about 62 mils, and that's going to deglaze the bottom of the pot. All that means, deglazing, is that it helps to scrape up all of the little brown bits on the bottom of the pot, so that you don't miss any of that delicious flavor that's been cooking on the bottom of the pot. All right, what I'm going to do is turn my heat up to maximum right now and add some broth. I have 5 cups of chicken broth, that's 1250 mils. And I turned my heat up because my chicken broth is cold. If you can heat up your chicken broth, then you don't have to turn your heat up because you won't lose the heat in the pot. You know, I have recently become vegetarian, pretty much. And the only thing left that I eat, really, that, I don't know, that is not vegetarian is chicken broth. But you could use vegetable broth for this. I don't know about beef broth. I don't think that would be a good flavor combination, but either chicken broth or vegetable broth. The last thing I'm going to add are the spices. In this dish, I have 1/2 teaspoon each of dried rosemary and dried thyme. That's about 1 gram together, 1/2 gram each. But before I add it to my pot, I'm going to put it through the mortar and pestle just to make sure there's no hard bits. Okay, that's nicely grinded up, or ground up. I should use correct grammar. It smells amazing. Okay, I'm going to bring this to a boil, cover it, and turn it down to a simmer and let it simmer for 35 minutes. Once in a while, I'll come back and stir it to make sure nothing's sticking to the bottom of the pot. Well, my soup is ready. It's been simmering for 35 minutes and it smells amazing. The next thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to blend it with an immersion blender or a stick blender. And I just want to give you a little bit of a cautionary note on this. If your soup is hot, be really careful. Make sure that the immersion blender is always, you know, below the water level. okay? Because if it splashes you, it can burn. And if you don't have an immersion blender, you can put this in a regular blender, but just remember to let it cool completely before you do that, or else the top will blow. And I've mentioned this before, it has happened to me. So why don't I start? All right, that's all blended. It just, I can't tell you how amazing this smells. I can't wait to try it. Okay, so the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to add some cream and milk. In this measuring cup, I have 1/4 cup of heavy cream and I have 1/4 cup of 2% milk. That's about 62 mils each. And if you don't add cream, you can't call it a bisque. Okay, that's me being a little silly. But honestly, what a bisque is, or what it was, I got this from one of my Williams-Sonoma cookbooks. It says the term bisque refers to a particular type of soup, a pureed seafood soup made with cream. Shrimp or lobster is the typical star of a bisque. The meaning of the term has broadened in recent years to include a creamy pureed vegetable soup. So this is kind of a creamy pureed vegetable soup, so I'm calling it my apple and butternut squash bisque. This is so, so delicious. Now you might want to let it cool a bit and then taste it, because if you need to, you can season it with salt and pepper. This is a delicious soup, especially for this time of year. I'm in the northern hemisphere and it's fall for us. So we've got rainy, cool nights and crisp, sunny, cool days. I love this soup so much. It's got a little bit of sweetness to it because of the squash and the apples, and the onions just round out the flavor very, very well. I've got some chives here from my freezer, and I'm just gonna, they're a little wet right now, but I'm just gonna put a few on for decoration. You could also put a rosemary sprig or some fresh thyme on for decoration if you like. And there's our apple and butternut squash bisque. I hope that you enjoyed this video, my friends, and if you did, don't forget to like and subscribe. It really, really makes a difference. And don't forget to hit the notification bell so you don't miss any of my video uploads or my community post uploads. This was a lot of fun. And don't forget to leave me a comment. I hope you try this recipe. Let me know in the comments. I really love to read your comments, and I do reply to them. So we'll see you next time on Rain's Kitchen and Garden. This is Rain. Bye.